Everyone, Mike here from MDV Equestrian. Welcome to Let's Chat. I've got none other than...
I'm Jeff Lansky. I'm a strength and conditioning coach.
Yes, now Jeff and I go a couple of years back at gyms. When I was still a naughty child, knew nothing about anything in life and so on and so
fast.
forth. Yeah, I was. Don't know about now. Anyway, but I've got Jeff on the Let's Chat today because Jeff forms part of a very integral part of MDV Equestrian, everybody. Right. Now, Jeff, please tell people why it's so important to make sure that they go to the gym for horse riding purposes. Let's just really dumb it down. Like, if we can explain this, if you could explain this to a 6-year-old child, how would you do it?
Okay. If we don't ride horses every day to work and around, so it requires a certain level of skill and athleticism. And in order for you to do that at your best and learn all the technicalities of horse riding, it's best that you're physically as good as you can possibly be, which is not the same as being fit for a marathon or for a weightlifting competition or for CrossFit. It's being able to sit on a horse comfortably and guide a horse comfortably and move around on a horse comfortably, whether it's trotting, galloping, whatever.
Very much so. It's always been interesting to me that like when we used to, back in the day when I was at the Lions and stuff like that, it was no good, right, getting really big biceps, right, looking good to go to the beach. It was never going to help you bowl fast, help me bowl fast, right? And so the same thing is going to apply to the horse riding side of things. So, we're going to do specific exercises in order to help people in the riding department. Because it's probably no good, again, doing a whole bunch of dumbbell exercises and think that, you're going to improve your riding, right, Jeff?
Well, the common perception around any sort of training seems to be either you have to run far or you have to do bodybuilding in order to be considered fit or buff or whatever.
Yep.
And those are the two things that possibly help you the least in a lot of activities where you have to just sit and be nice and steady, or you have to be able to hold a strong position. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with our training that you're not going to see at your standard commercial gym.
That's it. And Jeff can tell you what a huge fan I am of running long distance, Jeff?
No fast bowler is.
I do. A very funny story. There was a period where the coach, we're not mentioning names, Jeff, the coach decided to overrule the fitness coach and said that our players are lazy because they can't run 8 and 10 Ks, right?
That's right.
Well, half the team broke down, didn't they?
Exactly.
I was one of them.
Yeah. It's inappropriate.
It's totally useless. So whatever we're going to apply to the gym is going to be specific to the riding, and that's important, guys, to understand this. But another thing is, do understand this. You don't have to be some superstar athlete to do this stuff, right?
Definitely not.
No,
you just have to get yourself to your best possible potential.
That's it. And at the end of the day, if you can get yourself there and ride more often, and from a proprioceptive point of view, I find, look, it's very interesting. I mean, we're coming back to now professional sportsmen. What I found interesting was the really good players, right, focused on the basics more than they did the fancy trick shots and stuff. And it was always like the clubbies and the amateurs wanting to come up with these crafty, like weird and wonderful ideas. Now, I mean, I used to spend a lot of time just sitting next to Neil Mackenzie, and he would always just work on just that straight. I mean, he was a very good puller of a cricket ball.
Sure.
But I mean, how basic wasn't his thing? If ball was out there, just leave it, like if ball at him, boom, for the first 10 minutes of his net session. He never got fancy.
It's an interesting thing with the whole fitness industry as well, is that because the tendency on social media is to put in all the fluff, the fancy stuff, and everybody thinks that that is the way it's done. Most of those people who do it, they stick to the basics, and there are basics. And often what works the best are the basics.
Pretty much. And you know, if I look at like the whole horse riding thing, and I think a great example would be when I've just flown up from PE now when I was in St. Francis, right, riding this horse. I told the kid, all you have to do is steer towards the jump, and that's it. Leave the horse alone. The horse will sort itself out, and do as little as possible. All you have to do is sit and balance. And you ask a kid to just do that, it's amazing. They cannot actually do the genuine basics. It baffles me that, I mean, she's not the only one. There's hundreds of kids, and now you've probably seen a little bit of riding and stuff like that. Now you've probably done research,
taken some notice.
Yes, and would you say that the balance of the riders that you've seen is where it should be?
Well, my experience with riding, if I've spoken to experienced riders who belong to a stable and who have a riding coach, they often talk to them about their conditioning, and very much standard stuff comes out of their mouths. It's yes, I know you need to have a strong core, you need to do lots of planks. There are better ways of doing that. You're not going to say to somebody, okay, if you want to become a better rider, go buy yourself a rocking horse and spend 5 minutes a day on your rocking horse.
No.
It's something that has to be directly transferable to what you're trying to teach them.
Absolutely.
Because it's, at the end of the day, it's a skill.
Yeah.
I don't think you get too many people who just jump onto a horse and just naturally can go out there and do everything that's required.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that just coming back to a basic premise of every horse that I climb onto, the first thing I do is find my balance on that horse. That's the first thing. Until I can find my balance on that horse, I don't really do anything fancy. And the industry, and I think there's probably the same thing with gymming and all sorts of things. There's so much propaganda thrown around, like you've got to have a strong core to have good balance. What kind of that is just nonsense, like straight up.
Well, it's very specific to that. It's you know, we have people who can squat over 200. I work from the top powerlifting gym in the Southern Hemisphere, and we have people who can squat over 200 for reps, and they'll go for a biokinetic test, and they'll be told you've got a weak core. And often that's because they've been given a test that's unfamiliar. So it doesn't relate directly. It's in fact the fact that they can squat or deadlift that amount. That's what actually gives them the strong core that they need for that. So horse riding would have its own particular core stability requirements.
100%. So there's a challenge that has been going around on Facebook, right, Shay, where you sit it's like a little saddle on a barrel, right, and you stand and balance there, right, and it's amazing. I mean, I'd never done it. I did it in George. Was it in George or Plet? Yes, I was in Plet and I did this, and it's amazing how, I mean, I can just sit on a horse and just flow with it like that, right? The moment I got onto the barrel, how unfamiliar I was on that barrel until I eventually figured it out. And I haven't been to the gym since I saw you, which was
a while ago.
Yeah, and then before then was like
a while ago.
Like we're talking 4 or 5 years. So I don't really go to the gym. But it's just the understanding of proprioception that got me through. Okay, fine. My mind and my body has to figure out how that drum moves, and that's it. And so, but I think there's so many like weird and wonderful concepts thrown at people all the time, and but also people are made to believe that I don't know if Shay agrees with you that horse riding is, or some sports are made out to be like unattainable. You've got to be like unbelievably good at it, right, Shay?
Yes, it's only time you're around you.
What do you mean?
It feels like everything is unattainable because you're just like a pro athlete.
Not necessarily. You do know, right? This is very weird, right?
Michael,
the reason.
you're just very good at everything you do.
Not necessarily. Horse riding. Okay, so this is the weird part. Why do I have empathy for people that are nervous on a horse? Because I was seriously nervous when I first started riding horses, right? I was like worried about falling off, or I didn't care about the judgment. I just like I could hurt myself and stuff. But it was the only sport, right, that I was totally useless at. And cricket. Oh God, Jeff, you should have seen me as a kid, right? It was embarrassing, you know. Yeah, I had the claws, but I wasn't like, anyway, nothing like I was, you know, I could bowl fast at the lines. But I understand how long it takes for somebody to overcome something like that. And it's very weird that, I don't know if you've noticed, like school coaching, right?
Yes.
How like coaches can get really grumpy with kids, especially coaches that were very good at something. They're like, oh, why can't you do that? I find there's a lack of empathy in the coaching department as well. I don't know if you found that.
The problem is, and certainly in the gym environment, is they often don't know what to really look for. There's too much of an emphasis on the person's coming for a hard workout. Now beat them up. If you've made them sweat and if they're panting and they feel really tired and they stiff the next day, then they've had a great workout. It could be a rubbish workout.
No, absolutely.
Isn't it the same principles that we find with horses? So training horses, everybody tries to train in the same mannerisms, but every horse is different. They process things differently. So obviously the training is a similar thing, right?
Okay.
But yeah.
So great example. Sorry to cut you. Jeff, St. Francis, right? So the one little kid on day one, I found a problem with the horse's internal anxiety. It's a bit of a technical thing. But anyway. So day two, I mean, this kid was deathly afraid of actually getting onto the horse. So got onto the horse, did a lot of walking, a little bit of trotting, and she was, you know, she was not happy to trot. Anyway, so I brought her back to the walk, and we just walked, for, I don't know, 45 minutes, and I just chatted away and whatever the case may be. Next day, weather's worse than what it was the day before, right? Which makes horses a little bit more skittish, right? This kid goes and jumps 90 centimeters.
And that's good.
From a kid that did not want to trot.
Yes.
She cantered up to a jump at 90 centimeters and hopped over it with a smile on her face.
Okay, it's a similar thing because now you've shown her, you showed her something tangible. Look what you can do. Now this you've seen yourself, and this is something that you get with 14-year-olds, is that if you can show them what they can lift, you teach them how to lift, then you show them this is what you can lift. Okay, now we correct this, we sort this out. Now look what you can lift. And when they walk out, just say for example, a 14-year-old who walks out deadlifting 100 kilograms, he's the king of the world. He will walk out with his chest out, he'll feel a better person, he can't wait to come back.
That's it.
But if you've beaten him up, and he's thinking next time, oh my God, I'm going to go there to that madman. It doesn't work. You had the same thing. When you deadlifted 160, what are you thinking? 180, 200. That's the way you think. And that's why that's what draws you back. Oh, and by the way, folks, is that weight training for kids does not stunt growth. That is the oldest myth since the moon is made out of green cheese.
I haven't heard the cheese.
I promise you is that there is not a single recorded case in history where anybody's growth was ever stunted by resistance training. So please lose that.
I was told that pretty much my whole high school career. But the nice thing is I only ever hit the gym, and I think I was about 20 years old. It was the first time I walked into a gym. It was called Profiles in PE. I remember gymming, and the next day I was like, oh dear. But again, I was just lucky because my mates just kept dragging me back, and I was stiff as hell. But I can imagine if I knew nothing and I went in and I felt like that, I was be like, what's the point? What is the actual point?
Yes,
so
100%.
Yeah, be very careful of something like that, because you want because I mean just thinking of I did the crocodile. I mean when I was at the Lions, I mean I couldn't deadlift 130. I think I was sort of hanging around, and then we, with no real whatever, I came in there, and obviously we just adjusted that whole situation with the neck, and I did 30
30 reps.
30 reps where you
30
pick
minutes.
it up and you put it down gently, not where you slam it down. So in half an hour. So it's every minute I picked it up, right? I went home and this is fascinating because I went home the next day, well, that day, woke up the next morning, not a single stiff bone in my body. It was the weirdest thing because normally you'd like dying of stiffness and stuff, but the body worked as a unit. But that's where the years of experience also comes in. Because if you're going to go to just a general PT, personal trainers, they're commonly known, that hasn't had that level of experience, I can imagine these oaks just like throw a. What are those?
Michael,
Yeah.
do you want to explain the fact that you are a pro athlete, so you are not going to be focusing your videos so much anymore? But we are going to actually show normal people.
Yeah,
this
well,
training
that's it.
program and everything, and that it's achievable by everybody.
That's it. No, definitely. So, good luck, Shay. Because you're not a normal person, are you?
No, I'm not a normal person.
No, but you're considered like a normal
You
person.
hear, that disqualifies you.
That disqualifies you. Yeah.
But I'm more normal than you, so.
Oh, okay. Well then,
Yeah.
yes.
Like
then
you-
we can use you. Then it's fine.
You pro, and you just make everything look easy and unattainable.
Do I still qualify as a pro, Jeff? Or do I consider it a
Who have you got a contract with?
nobody?
Well, then,
There we go. I'm not a pro anymore.
Yeah, but you still went to those levels.
Yeah, I was
That's
there.
Not everybody goes to those levels. And
Yeah.
then you look at your
Hey,
videos as go.
let me tell you, all I got was a couple of t-shirts, long pants, tracksuits. That was about it. Jeff and a
and
slap
lots
on
of
the-
people telling stories about you many years
Yeah.
afterwards.
That's all
Plenty
I
of
got
those.
for being a
Never
pro
seems to
athlete.
go away.
No.
But yes, again, I think what we need to mention in this is that Shay will be doing this, and Shay is just a plat op die aarde, hey, Jeff, horse rider, and we're gonna take her,
Nothing
stick her
special.
into the program for a year, and let's see what happens. Let's see what spits out the other side.
Yeah.
And now we all know what will happen, Jeff. The rest of the people probably doubt this, right?
Well, the thing is,
They're just not familiar with us.
That's it. Okay?
I'm a nobody in terms of the equestrian world.
Well, that's
Nobody
good.
knows who I am or what I can do or anything like that, and I haven't competed. So it's going to start on the basis of we're going to use all the MDV principles, training methods. You're going to do the fitness program, and we're going to apply everything, and then see where I'll end up.
There we go.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
And let's hope for the best.
Yeah, 100%.
No, we don't need that, Jeff. This.
That's
What did Gary Player say? The more you practice, the luckier you get, or something like
the
that.
more I practice, the luckier I get.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's interesting. Like you. I mean, I know what you're capable of. It's like the same thing when I'm boxing a horse and it's going really badly, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, that horse will never get into the box," and I'm like, "It's going well."
Well, yeah,
And then all of a sudden it's going in and out. It was like
it's all relative because
It
you've
is.
seen how the process
been-
unfolds. They just in the process now, and they think they're going to die or something.
Yeah, but
So-
but also that. But they've, like I said, they've never been through a process 101 times like you have. I mean, you've seen enough
yeah.
people, enough
Yeah.
experience to know that you can take Shay without kicking her ass
No, exactly.
and making something of her.
100%,
But to you, it's
yeah.
normal. To other people, but it comes back to like a cognitive thing, and people. How do I put this? People are so difficult to change. It's amazing, but I'm not in the business of changing anybody. Oh shit! I'll tell you if I can't help you or not, and then just
If you want to learn and you want to change,
Yeah.
Then
that's
it's
your
easy.
own choice, then it's a different story.
No, 100%. And everybody thinks it's scary because they've heard all sorts of stories. And there's a perception. You go into the gym and they're these big guys. And meantime, they're all very